5 things that will change if China becomes the #1 superpower. 1. There will be more wars. Historically, China has always pursued expansionism. The People's Republic has reclaimed Tibet, Xinjiang, and Hong Kong. It has its sights set on Taiwan. The current Chinese leadership has threatened it repeatedly. China likes to flaunt its new weapons. It recently tested a new hypersonic missile. No one is planning to attack China, so the aggressive message is clear. India, Vietnam, the Philippines, and even Japan are at risk. None of them will submit peacefully. Furthermore, the US will definitely intervene. It has pledged to defend Taiwan and will have to protect Guam as well. So a dominant China will certainly plunge the region into war. 2. China will insist on a new world order. China is already using various tools of coercion. It dominates several countries through the Belt and Road Initiative. Those who refused were cut off from Chinese money. China is also using debt trap diplomacy. It extends generous loans to anyone who asks. Many developing countries are unable to repay the debt. China then moves in to seize their assets. If Beijing grows more powerful, no one will be able to stop it. The yuan will likely become a reserve currency. That way, China will have Africa and South America at its beck and call. There's no doubt it will establish military bases overseas. Indeed, China already did it in Djibouti. 3. China will export its values. China's policies are subtler than those of the Soviet Union. It doesn't insist that its vassals subscribe to communism. However, China is putting a lot of effort into promoting its culture.
Facts prove that our path and system are successful.
Xi Jinping says,
We should popularize our cultural spirit across countries, as well as across time and space, with contemporary values and the eternal charm of Chinese culture.
This is the purpose of Confucius Institutes. It's a state-run program aimed at promoting Chinese culture. China likes to promote its authoritarian model as efficient. This was especially evident during the pandemic. China is already trying to attract more students to its universities. They already have more African students than the US and Britain combined. The programs are targeted at aspiring politicians. 4. The United States will enter recession. The US can't just quietly concede its global dominance. Currently, the US has a unique advantage. The dollar. Greenbacks are used for 90% of all international trade. It's basically the new gold standard that keeps the US economy stable. But if China gets the upper hand, the dollar will collapse. The US will find itself deep in debt. Overnight, the US will lose 2% of its economic output. Import prices will remain high, while export prices will go down. Countless Americans will lose their jobs. China will do everything in its power to exploit this weakness. 5. Japan will be forgotten. China and Japan have never seen eye to eye. Today, Japan is responsible for 6% of global GDP. China's share stands at over 18%. But Japan relies on maritime shipping routes. Of course, it's also backed by US military support. If the latter is gone, the former will be in peril. China will be free to blot Japanese trade. There's little doubt it will.
We will never allow any foreign force to bully, oppress, or subjugate us. Anyone who attempts to do so will find themselves on a collision course with a great wall of steel, forged by the flesh and blood of over 1.4 billion Chinese people.
Xi Jinping, 2021.